real slow down the middle like that. And then the legs are also a little bit sensitive too for him, so you don't want to pull the leg away from him to look at it or anything like that. So he's going to wrap his legs around your waist just like this, and you can put one hand underneath his butt and then one on his back to kind of support him.
All right, sounds good. Hello, buddy. Come over. Oh, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. What are you looking for?
I think he's probably looking for his breakfast.
Oh, are you hungry? Yeah. Look at that tongue.
One hand, typically about right there is a good angle for him.
Oh, that'll make you sick, buddy, because I'm moving back a bit.
They're all right with the rocking. It's when people start bouncing them like a baby, then they're kind of like, what's going on? But yeah, it is tempting to rock them like that.
Yeah, I don't try to, but I have motion stuff going on.
Oh yeah. So this type of behavior for a sloth, where they're actually wanting to hold on to people, is not typical of sloths. Naturally, sloths are very solitary animals. Like Flash, he's comfortable with being around people, but we've never held him, even though he was born and raised in captivity. Because naturally, they're not going to be wanting to just hold on to people. That's not a natural position for them to be in. And so a lot of conditioning and training and efforts have to go in them from a very young age. And get them on just it's routine that you're just held for a certain amount of time throughout the day, or it just becomes second nature for them. And so that's something that they do seek out, because sloths are very routine animals. They like to do the same thing at the same time every day. And so they like to stick to that. And so that's why Dash is comfortable with being held. However, Flash is almost 7 years old. And when we got him, he was already 3 years old and had never been held before.
That makes sense.
So once he was weaned, they're weaned around 5 months old from the mother's own choosing. She's just like, all right, you're done. And the baby will go off and fend for itself. And after he was weaned, he basically went into solitary confinement, and that's what he wanted. That's what most sloths, look out for in the wild. You don't really ever see two sloths in the same tree, and if you do, they're either mating or they're just passing through, and they're just in opposite sides. They don't want to be together.
I feel the same way sometimes.
So that's the norm for the sloths, and so this type of behavior is pretty rare that you get to actually hold on to one and then enjoy it. Now there are other facilities, like down if you go to hold one in like Honduras or Costa Rica or somewhere. Those sloths, those sloths have been taken out of the rainforest and have been used over and over and over and over for those encounters. But they're just so run down they can't even fight back anymore, and their life expectancies are extremely cut short.
How long do sloths usually live?
In the wild, we're not exactly sure. We estimate it to be anywhere from 15 to 25 years, but there's not been any scientists that have been able to track one singular sloth from birth until the very end. But in captivity, the oldest sloth that we know of lived to be 54. So they can live really long, healthy lives. Now that's with any animal. If you take it into captivity, it's going to live longer than it would naturally in its habitat, just because it doesn't have anything after it. And sloths in the wild are just sitting ducks for any type of an animal that might want to eat them. So. And a lot of times their lives are taken prematurely as well by electrocution. They'll be trying to pass a roadway using a telephone line. It's fine as long as they're on one, but as soon as they touch another one, complete that circuit and they'll be shocked.
That's true.
Yeah. Now the Conservancy Agency has been trying to enforce more of the rope bridges right beside telephone poles, so when they get to the end of it and they're stuck, they can just reach over onto a rope and go down that way.
Yeah, so they don't touch them.
Where'd you guys hear about us?
I actually found it on TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok's the biggest platform right now,
And I've been looking at it for years to find a place. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally found one where I can hold my sloth.
There's food here. And their eyesight is really poor because they have a condition that's called rod monochromacy. That means that they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. We have both rods and cones, and the cone cells allow us to see color, whereas the rod cells pick up motion. So since they don't have the cone cells, they are colorblind, but they can see motion even better than we can.
Yeah.
So something out of the corner of my eye, like a mouse running across the floor
Yeah.
or something, my brain may not pick
Yeah,
that up
they-
because my brain doesn't think, oh, that could be something that's trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
But for them, their vision is a lot more narrow. They
Yeah.
don't have as much peripheral as we do. But if they see just the tiniest little something
Yeah.
out of the corner of their eye, they're gonna react to it because they have to. In the wild, if they're just resting, taking them a little nap out there on that
Yeah, they don't
branch,
want to get attacked.
yeah, and then they see something slowly starting to, because a jaguar is not just gonna ramble out onto that branch. It's
Yeah.
gonna be going real slow
Yeah.
and creeping out there. But they have to react to that because their first line of defense, they don't really have a whole lot. They've got teeth they can use in their claws and everything, but this is not really effective. So the first thing that they try to do is get out to the very end of that branch where it's a lot thinner, and it may be able to support a 10 or 15-pound sloth,
But it won't be
but
enough
probably not that
Yeah.
cat as well. So if the cat is daring enough to go out onto the end of
It's
that
just
branch
gonna
as
break.
well, it might break, and that's kind of best case scenario
Yeah.
for this sloth,
Yeah.
because sloths are built to be able to withstand a fall from up to 100 feet in the air and be completely unharmed. So they're kind of built like trucks on the
Yeah.
inside. Whereas the cat's going to be trying to land on all 4 feet and
Yeah.
probably break all 4 legs
Yeah.
if they're falling from that high. Yeah.
That's interesting.
The sloths, they have a total of 46 ribs, so that's double what we have.
Yeah,
They
that's a
have
lot.
2 sets of 23, and that bottom 23 sets, it goes all the way right down to their hip bones and protects
Yeah.
everything. Whereas ours stops about right here and all that's exposed. But for them, when they hit the ground, their bones are extremely flexible. So when they do smack the floor, their rib cage will just kind of flex under their
Yeah.
body weight and then goes back to normal. They've also got a lot of connective tissue that's holding all of their internal organs right where they're
Yeah.
supposed to in the middle of their body cavity, so that when they do smack the floor, they don't really sustain internal damage
Yeah,
either
it's just
like we
kind of,
would.
yeah, we
Yeah.
probably be good.
Yeah, so it works out well for them. And when they fall, unlike the cat where they're trying to land on all 4 feet, all 4 legs for them just kind of go straight out and they kind of fall like a pancake.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Absorb the blow.
Yeah. He says, let me scooch in here.
Want to switch that one too? I'm here to please you. I'm just happy you can play on me.
And you guys are welcome to take any pictures and videos or anything that you want. If you want me to take some, I can too.
Yeah, give her my phone since you're not doing it.
Where is it?
Right here.
Don't you take him?
Yeah, you can take any from any angle, and then if you guys want me to take some of both you guys sitting there. He is our most ADHD sloth. If he sees
Really?
any type of movement back behind him, he's breaking his neck to look at it. He doesn't want to miss out on anything.
Look at that tail. Oh, that's fat too. They look sharp.
They are. Every time they close their mouths, they actually sharpen one another
Oh,
so
really?
that they stay sharp.
Oh.
And they don't have any teeth near the very front of their mouth, but on
Yeah.
the sides they've got
On the
4 really
side.
sharp canines.
Okay.
And then back behind those, all of their molars are not flat like ours are, they're all pointed. And so those work just to.
Did I get in the way a little bit?
No, you're good, man. No worries. It's about you guys.
But if you were to look at the skull or the skeleton of a sloth without knowing what animal it was, you'd definitely think they were like top of the food chain for sure, like a carnivore
wow.
or something because of how sharp all their teeth are. And their front legs are twice as long as their back legs and just as long as the rest of their body. So you'd think they were like a monkey or something, like swinging through the trees, using those claws to like swap stuff out. But in reality, to see what they actually are is pretty ironic when you actually put muscles and tendons and ligaments and everything to it, and skin and hair.
Maybe he's hungry.
And sloths are slow animals because they have to be slow. They really can't be quick because they don't have the energy reserves to be able to do that. In the
Yeah.
wild, they eat 95% leaf material, and those are the leaves of the Sarcopia trees that only grow in South America.
Yeah.
And leaves are extremely low in calories, and it takes calories in order to create energy.
Yeah.
So they really can't, they can have short bursts of energy where they can move pretty quick if they need to, but,
Not sustainable.
yeah, it's not something that they can continue to do for a long period of time. Which is why I was saying, like down in Costa Rica, if you are able to hold a wild sloth, like if the organization is saying, yeah, that's why it's just sitting there, not really reacting, not really doing much,
Yeah.
because it's already used all of its energy. And it's not because that sloth is comfortable with what's going on. It's just, it just can't do
Kind of
it.
accepts it.
Exactly. I'm gonna close this door to this outdoor enclosure because it is pretty chilly this morning.
Yeah, it was, I guess it was probably colder like maybe like an hour or two ago, so I think it warmed up a little bit.
It did a little bit, but it's still too cold for the sloths.
Yeah.
Are you waking up?
Yeah, they're probably used to super warm weather and like,
Yeah, so if you think about where they're native to, down, in South America, parts of Central America, it's a lot hotter and
Lives in
humid.
Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And so we try to mimic that as best we can because their temperature requirements are extremely sensitive.
yeah.
And their humidity requirements as well. So in the wild, in the rainforest, they actually have a symbiotic relationship with moths that live on their backs. And it's symbiotic, meaning that they both benefit. So the sloths need those moths, and the moths need the sloths in order to survive. So when the sloth gets the urge to go to the bathroom once a week, it only happens about every 7 to 10 days.
Wow.
They go all the way down to the base of the tree to go to the bathroom. And that's because of the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. When they do that, those moths that are living on the back of the sloth will crawl down, lay their eggs in the waste product of the sloth, and then crawl back up before they lose their ride back to the canopy of the rainforest. Because those moths can't fly like other moths can. They need direct contact with the source they're trying to get to, which is why the sloth has to come down.
Yeah.
If they could fly, the sloth could just go to the bathroom up in the trees and it would fall, and they could fly down and do that. But they don't work like that.
Yeah.
And so that's why they have to do that every time. They go to the same spot every single time because last week those eggs that were laid,
Yeah.
then the next week have turned into larvae, and then last week's larvae have turned into this week's moths. And so it's a whole cycle.
Whole cycle.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they have to go to that same spot every time so that it continues to repeat.
Yeah.
If they went to a new pile every time, it wouldn't be able to continue.
Yeah.
But it's really important for the sloths that they have those on there because those moths, they produce a very specific type of bacteria in their waste. And when the sloth licks that up off of their backs, that's actually how they digest their food. They're using that bacteria to digest it. And bacteria is sensitive to temperature changes, especially drops in temperatures. And so in the wild, even though it's fairly hot and humid most of the time, overnight it can drop. And whatever the weather is like here, if we're having a cold front or something, it affects all the way down there.
Yeah.
And so it'll get
I'm
colder.
still tired.
Here, I can take that if you want me to.
Sorry.
He's probably finished.
Do you guys get a lot of snow here or no?
Not really,
No.
it's not really. But if we have like a blizzard up here, there was a lady just telling me the other day that they had went on a cruise and we're down, I think in Honduras is what they were saying. And it was, we had a blizzard up here and it went all the way down, it affected all the way down there. And it was cold enough they couldn't swim or do anything like that. So yeah, it does affect down there. And for that bacteria, if they have a cold front, sloths can't maintain their own body temperature. So if it drops outside, their temperature will as well. And that bacteria that's in their gut would not be able to survive, which is why they need those moths on their back to lick up more of that bacteria. So in captivity, you can see he doesn't have any moths or anything on his back, but we keep them in a controlled environment where it's always 78, 79 degrees up here.
They don't really need them to.
Exactly. But if we were to, if I were to leave that door open and it's like 60 degrees outside and it drop all the way to 60 in here, that'd be really bad news for all these sloths, and they would not be able to, They would be, it's not that we would worry about hypothermia or anything for them, it's that we worry about that bacteria, because if it's wiped out, then that sloth would only be able to live for about 2.5 weeks. That's how long it takes for a sloth to starve. And they could pass with a full belly of food, just not able to digest any of it. And that's why we always tell people that owning a sloth as a pet for a member of the general public is a terrible idea.
You have to really
There's not a whole lot of people that keep their houses at 79 degrees.
My dad does.
Yeah, there's a few of those crazies out there, but
We always fight about the temperature because I'm always hot, so I need it colder, especially when I sleep.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense for, the temperature of a sloth's environment to dictate whether or not they can digest their food, but that's how it works for
Just
them.
how it is,
Yeah. So it is really, really sensitive, and that's probably my favorite thing about the sloths is that symbiotic relationship that they have with those moths. Because in the
That's
wild,
pretty cool.
if those moths didn't exist, or if the moth population, was completely wiped off of the sloth would not be able to survive. And that's why, it's not the best thing to go down and support holding, the sloths that live down there naturally, because a lot of times those sloths have been stripped of all of that moss and algae and all that fungus and everything that's on their backs, as well as the moths, because that doesn't look the best in pictures, and nobody wants to hold a mossy sloth. And so a lot of times all that will be scraped off, and then that's just the, that's the end of that sloth.
You here?
So it's really really difficult for them. Now, thankfully, the Conservancy Agency has been doing a lot better job recently. Literally within the past few months of shutting down a lot more of those organizations that are doing that. Now, some places I'm sure do it the right way, where it's actually a sanctuary that they take in, injured
There's probably a
sloths.
lot that don't,
Yeah. But it's hard to tell, I have an issue with, I don't always see the bad in people, I try to look for the good in people, and not everybody's out there that is looking for the well-being of the animal.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just trying to make a quick buck, and they see sloths as a way to do that.
Especially down that way.
Yeah. And for a lot of those people, that's just their way of life. That's how their dad did it, that's how their grandpa did it, so that's how they do it. And they knew that the people, that they get off of those cruise ships and they're going out looking for excursions to do while they're there. And somebody meets them on the side of the road with a little baby sloth, and it's like, if you pay me $10, I'll let you hold the sloth. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. They don't really put too much thought behind it.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's really not the best thing for that animal. Yeah.
Such a cute song.
Yeah.
Flash is down, not out.
Yeah, he's just sitting right there.
Hey, Bubba. What are you doing, Flash?
Do you hear, huh?
He has found himself a comfortable crook there to sit on.
That's alright. They deserve to be comfy too.
Yeah. And that's what we always tell people, we're never gonna force any of the animals
No,
to
of
do
course
anything they
not,
don't want
no.
to do. And with sloths, they're very routine animals, and the
Yeah.
fact that usually it's his routine, he comes down every morning,
Yeah.
he'll hook onto that
Oh,
door
yeah.
frame himself and
If
come
he's
out on
comfy,
his own.
just leave him up
But,
there.
Yeah, basically.
but we can do little efforts like trying to convince him to come
Yeah.
down with a slice of banana,
Yeah.
or some of his food like that, like
Food
floated up towards him,
driven.
yeah.
I'm the same
But he
way.
must not be very hungry this morning, because otherwise he'd be coming down, especially for that rice. He loves that rice mixture.
That's okay. Everybody has their days. Right? Yeah.
We'll definitely get it sorted out though, because I know
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys have booked for the hour, and so if he ends up not coming down, we'll just end up probably just sticking with Dash the whole time.
That's alright.
Which is kind of a little bit of an upgrade,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
you get
I
to
can
hold over
hold.
the whole time. Yeah.
Yes, hello. I'm sorry. I think I went up too far.
And you can kind of see Flash there, his markings and everything, how much lighter he is in color compared to Dash. They're the same type of sloth, they're two-toed Linnaeus sloths, but Dash is a lot younger.
Yeah.
And so when they're first born, that darkest color that he is on the top of his head is what color he was all over. And just
Oh.
recently has he started to
He
lighten
started
up,
getting
and
like-
yeah, he's kind of got that salt and pepper
Eventually,
look going.
eventually he's gonna like
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah. But when they're first born, the mothers in the wild, they have all that moss and algae and everything on their back that's camouflaging them into the rest of the canopy of the
Yeah.
rainforest. The babies aren't born with that, so they have to have some form of camouflage. And for them, it's that darker coloration, because they'll be laying on the chest of the mother, and with all the shadows from the leaves and everything above them, they just blend right in. And as they get older, they'll lighten up quite a bit so that moss can start to form. And how that's actually done is a lot of people, there's a misconception that it forms on them just because they're so slow. And, a little bit of it could be that they don't shake like other animals do, like a dog, if they get wet, they'll shake off.
Shaky as well.
yeah.
But for a sloth, each individual hair of a sloth actually has tiny micro cracks all throughout them. And that's what allows the rainwater to gather in those little cracks. And over time, will start to form that moss and algae. Yeah.
I'm sorry, trying to get in here again. And now I'm too, there you go. Is that better?
He's cracking me up with that little piece of rice. He's very much like a toddler though. He doesn't like his face to be cleaned off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he gets food on his nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you should have to spend a lot of time with them, right?
Yeah, I'm the one that does all of his encounters and everything, and so he can't, by looking at me, he can't distinguish who I am, but he hears my voice, and that's what he understands, because that's what he hears every day. And since their eyesight is so poor, their sense of hearing and their sense of smell is really heightened,
Yeah.
which is why we send out those emails that say, don't wear any heavy perfumes
Yeah.
or colognes, because, if I can smell it on you from a distance,
And you can smell it.
exactly, he
like
can
right
smell
now,
it a
yeah.
lot better, and he's right up on your chest, so it can be kind of overpowering for them. So I don't wear any perfumes or lotions or anything while I'm
Yeah,
here,
right.
but I use the same deodorant and the same detergent for my clothes, and everybody kind of has their own natural smell to them, so
Yeah.
they can pick up on
They can
that and
pick it up.
understand, who's holding it.
Yeah.
And all of our sloths are on a very strict routine
Mhm.
and on a strict schedule. And so Flash, he developed his own encounter time. You know, it just became his routine that every
Routine.
morning
Yeah.
when we get here around 9:30,
Yeah.
I'd open up that door and he would come down whenever he
Yeah.
started hearing me chop up breakfast. And so that's what the time we started doing his encounters. And so he would only, if he was fully booked for the entire day, he would only have an hour of encounter first thing in the morning, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the same way for Dash and Zoe. They're both on strict schedules where they have an hour in the morning of encounter and an hour in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and that's it. They
That's
would
it.
never be booked for more than that.
Yeah.
And that's not because they wouldn't hold on to somebody for longer than that. He would gladly be holding on to somebody a whole day,
Yeah.
every day if we'd let him. But if that just became natural for him, that he just was a holding sloth 24/7 and
Yeah.
never had to be put down, he would never be looking forward to it. He'd just be, well, this is life.
Yeah.
But now it's to the point where in the mornings and the afternoons around that same time for his schedule, he starts getting more active. He'll start to uncover himself and reach out and be trying to get, people that walk by.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times he'll take naps here in this basket. We set this entire basket into his enclosure, and he can climb around if he wants to. He's got branches right above him that he can grab onto. But he'd rather stay in this
Yeah.
basket than he would be climbing, which again is not natural for a
No.
sloth
Yeah.
whatsoever. But he was raised in a very unnatural way, and so that's just what's normal for him.
Yeah.
And at night, they're a lot more active. They move around a lot more. Some people consider them to be nocturnal animals. I wouldn't consider them to be fully nocturnal because they're awake during the day.
Yeah.
They just don't move around as much because their vision is a lot worse during the day. It works better at
Yeah,
nighttime.
'cause all the lights and stuff
Yeah.
in the day.
It's kind of like night goggle vision. If you've ever watched an action movie that
Yeah.
shows a
Yeah.
little bit of that, that's kind of what they see. And looking through night goggles in the daytime is not going to work out too well
No.
for you. So that's kind of what it is for them. So they don't really move around a whole lot when it's bright outside. But in the evenings, or if we put him into a dark room or something and turn the lights off, he moves around a lot more, starts to get more active and moving around.
You get over how cute you are. Especially with that food on your nose.
Saving some for later.
Yeah, for real. It's just living the life.
Yeah. Yes,
That's
they're
how
often
it is.
a lot of other slots in the wild. Yeah, they get chased 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though Dash doesn't know what a jaguar or an eagle is, he's not been exposed to anything like that, it's still hardwired into an animal that has to be in the wild, has to be on the look for things like
Yeah.
that,
Oh,
to be
yeah.
more cautious. And that's why I talk about in the beginning how don't touch around the chin,
Yeah.
don't touch the
Yeah, they're
legs.
just born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hardwired, it's ingrained into them, because if it wasn't, then,
Yeah.
that would have to be a learned condition or a learned
Yes.
trait. And if they were learning that out in the wild, they
It wouldn't be
you
good. Yeah.
yeah.
I think some animals are
Yeah.
hard to have as pets,
Yeah.
like lions and tigers and all that.
Yeah.
Some people do, but I don't know if I'd be able to.
Yeah, and it's the same way for those type of animals too, like a lion or a
Yeah.
jaguar, or even a house cat. House cats can be feral. They can live out on the streets,
Yeah.
they'll catch their own food, they'll catch mice and be able to provide for themselves. But something like a dog, there's feral dogs, but they don't live very long,
Yeah.
because they don't, they're not as close back to like wolves
Yeah,
as,
they're-
the cats are. They're a lot more domesticated. So that's been generations
Yeah.
upon, breeding in captivity and everything. And Dash, the breeding facility that we got him from has been breeding sloths for over 30 years, and it's still, in them.
Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to be more cautious about. And for a sloth, they live their lives on the underside of that branch, holding
You're
on.
going in my
And-
pit. I don't think that's gonna go.
If a jaguar is on the top of that branch, the first thing they're gonna grab a hold of is gonna be a leg of a sloth. So that's why those areas are more, sensitive. And the neck is kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
A cat or something is gonna try to go for the neck
Oh, yeah.
area to shut it down a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And a lot of people wonder how sloths are able to hold on to the branches of the trees for such long periods of time and seemingly never get tired.
Yeah.
And that's because they never do. For them, it's opposite for us. Open-handed like this is our relaxed state, doesn't take any energy
For
to
them,
do
it's
this.
like, yeah.
Yeah, but to squeeze and make a fist is more difficult. That's a more stressful state for us. For a sloth, it's opposite. Squeezing down around that branch is actually their relaxed state.
Yeah.
And to let go of that branch branch,
Yes.
straighten that claw and reach for the
Yeah.
next one, that's what's more difficult to do. And that's because all the muscles and ligaments and tendons in their forearms are so tight,
Yeah.
that snap down is just natural.
Yeah.
And so much so that if a sloth were to pass away on the underside of the branch holding on, they would continue to
To
hang
hold
there,
on. Yeah.
until something either rotted or knocked them off of the branch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel like he's looking at me, but he probably can't.
You can see shapes and figures,
Yeah.
especially if they're moving. He picks those up really well.
Yeah.
But as far as like, if me and another person were
Mhm.
standing right next to each other looking at us, he wouldn't be able to tell
Yeah.
who's who.
It's just two people.
Yeah.
Move yard? No? Okay.
And he liked to do that when he was a lot smaller.
Mhm.
That was a really comfortable position for him, was to hook onto the bra
Oh,
straps
yeah.
of a girl and hang on like that. Because, like I said, this is their relaxed state, so
Yeah.
this is how they want to be, closed up like that.
Yes.
And happen to be, around something wider like a waist,
Oh,
it's more
yeah.
difficult to do. So that's why he likes to clamp down real tight around something
Because I keep
smaller.
feeling him going like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
So I think like he needs to move. But I guess not.
yeah.
Oh, it's comfy. So, how many slots you guys have here?
We have
It's like
three right now,
Three.
but our fourth one should be on her way.
That's pretty cool.
She'll be coming from the same facility that we got Dash
Yeah.
and Zoe from, so she'll be raised in the same way. She'll be an ambassador
Yeah.
sloth that we're able to hold.
Okay.
And when we first get them, they're just like 5 or 6 months old.
Yeah.
They're only like 2.5 pounds, so they're
Oh,
really,
yeah,
really
they're
small. So yeah, when we first get them, they actually have to stay up at the main house for the first like year of their life, and so Dash is in the transition to where he's
Mhm.
slowly starting to spend more time down here,
Yeah.
spend nights down here and everything, because this is
Yeah.
about to be his new home. Because when our baby gets here, she'll have to take
Mhm.
what his enclosure
Yeah.
was up at the main house. And it is, we already talked about the temperature requirements and everything.
Yes.
And where they have a sloth up there in their house, in their bedroom, they have a whole separate heating and air
Mhm.
unit for their bedroom, and it stays roughly 77 degrees in their room while they have a sloth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Smart, yeah.
Yeah, that way it's comfy for them.
And for that bacteria, that's
Yes.
the main thing we've got to look out for. And when they're young, they're still developing that bacteria colony that they're using in their gut to digest their
Just
food. Because they don't get it by the moths here in captivity, as
Yeah.
you can see, doesn't have any. They get it from their mothers.
Alright.
So around day 3 is when the baby starts to be interested with what mom's doing, what she's eating,
Yeah.
how she's moving and stuff. So they'll climb onto the chest of the mother, and while she's eating, lick her in the corners of her mouth because some of it will be bubbling up there. So the baby will eat some of the food and lick up some of mom's saliva. And the bacteria that she has in her gut is in her saliva will then be transferred to the baby.
Yeah.
And so they get just a little bit, and that bacteria slowly has to germinate and colonate and make more and more and more in the gut to be able to
Yeah.
actually fully digest their food. So when they're really young, that bacteria colony is still developing and
It's not
still
done.
flourishing. And so we
Takes
really
some
have
time.
to, really have to make sure that that has the best opportunity to develop, because that's what they're gonna use for the rest of their lives to digest all their food. And if they have a rough start, or if they're really young and they go through a cold spell or a stressful event or something, that can really dictate how good their health is
Yeah,
gonna be for the
and
rest of
how
their
they live as
lives.
long.
Yeah. So making sure that they have the best start possible is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
the key for the sloth's health.
Healthiest.
Yeah.
You sleepy? I finally got. I think I crashed last night like 7 o'clock.
Oh,
Slept
yeah.
all the way through the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you guys staying?
The wagon wheel. The welcome wagon.
Oh,
Wagon
okay.
wheel, that's that. It was like, we stopped a few times, but it took like 15 hours.
So
to
are
get
you
here.
guys, is it Courtney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you guys were supposed to start at 10:30.
My email says 10.
Does it say 10?
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually,
Yeah,
That's
my
weird.
email said 10.
Okay. And when you checked in up there, they said come down at 10?
Yeah. Yeah, but I even got a write down. They were so nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's weird.
because I
They're
thought the
supposed to
same
be-
thing. I'm like, it's 10, but my email says 10 right
So
from
you
John.
have another encounter this afternoon with Zoe, right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I think 12:20?
Yeah, 12:20 and 12:40.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was actually supposed to be with Dash this afternoon. So we'll just trade over and we'll use Zoe this afternoon.
Oh,
instead
that's
of Dash.
okay.
Yeah. So this is Courtney. I think
Hi.
they were.
Yeah, they're the 10:30. Your
Yeah.
10 o'clock has been sitting out there since 10
Oh
o'clock.
man.
They said
Oh,
they had
because
an
my
email
email
that said
says
10 o'clock,
10.
and that they got it right down and said start at 10
Huh,
o'clock.
okay.
But.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's
It's all
alright.
good. They're your 10:30.
Yeah, if you want to just put them in now.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10:30 now. It's all good.
So he's still not countdown. They had an encounter this afternoon. It was supposed to be with Dash, so I told him we'll just trade out and we'll do Zoe then.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I guess with the other people, start out with Zoe.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll work on getting her out.
Do you have any other tricks to get her out?
We've tried about everything that
Yeah.
we've got.
Yeah.
All the tricks up our sleeves. Let's see if I can get Zoe out here.
Good.
I'm sorry about the confusion.
I know, that's
I just
fine.
went off my email.
No, you're.
Hey, they also are VIP.
Yeah.
Sometimes Tatum can coach him when no one else can.
Okay.
She's coming to see if she can get Flash to walk out, and then we'll get back on an even keel here.
Okay.
And if she can, then we'll start the other ones with Dash first, and then Flash second.
I just don't want you falling backwards.
Oh, you won't fall.
And he's
Okay.
got excellent core strength.
Okay.
Penn State,
A lot
you
of
guys
times
from
relax.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Okay, I was born in Philadelphia.
Alright, yeah, it's
Really?
about an hour and a half.
Yeah, I only lived there until I was 6 months old. My mother
yeah.
tells me I was one of the last people to touch the Liberty Bell in 1969 before they
That's
put it
pretty
in
cool, yeah.
glass.
Oh,
And she
wow.
says I probably broke it. So, I'm not sure, but I've lived in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois,
Also, you were.
North, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, 20 years in Virginia.
Oh,
Now
wow.
So you were basically the whole East Coast almost.
here. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Wasn't that bad. It was like a long drive, but most of the roads were just like kind of farming. We really only had like a few city areas the
Yeah.
whole way down here.
Are you guys staying on the farm?
Yeah, the welcome wagon.
Oh, nice.
Just a second, once he
Alright,
starts
that's-
walking off, I'll let him out.
I'm in no rush.
No, I bet not.
He wants to stay up there, that's okay. Right? Yeah.
How old is
Zoe is 19 months old.
she's a little bit?
Yeah. So she's a little bit older. Let's see if she's hungry this morning.
Oh,
I don't know, but
look at you.
he's so distracted.
Oh, okay.
I think he may have been kind of starting to see if he could get something there. Because they do that and they can't see
Yeah.
what's there. They just know something's touched them.
I just
And
don't
they
feel
think
bad, I'm
that-
sorry.
when they go to open their mouths and stuff like that, people are like, oh, should I just, and I'm like, no, move your hand, they don't know, they're just
Yeah.
they're gonna open their mouths and close down, so they're just trying to figure out, you know, what it is, what's going on.
Now I feel better. The 10 o'clock's been sitting down.
Do you guys have any other encounters today besides?
12:20 and then a camel right at 4.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Should be fun.
Yes.
Guys never logged and then never on camel before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Are camels easy to like raise? Yeah.
That's more of a John question.
Yeah.
He definitely is the camel master. You know, I would think so, but I don't do a whole lot with the camels. We have 4 camels. We have Ed and Abu are the 2 the riding ones,
Yeah.
and then Prince Ali and Humphrey are 2 babies, and they're still on bottles.
Alright.
And Humphrey is actually a Bactrian camel, which those are the ones with the 2 humps, and then the other 3 are dromedaries.
I hear you smacking him.
Are camels generally friendly or?
If they're worked with enough, they can
Yeah.
definitely be stubborn animals, and so a lot of them end up needing trainers, because if they get something in their head that they can do and they can get away with it, they'll continue to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's what the problem that we're having with Prince Ali right now, the white one, is that he's really sweet and he'll love on you and he
Yeah.
wants to be rubbed on and everything. Then he gets too into it and starts being more pushy and like scratch harder, scratch here, scratch there. And he's big, you know, he's gonna get even bigger.
Yeah.
And so if he keeps knowing that he can do that and push people around, and you know, when he's on leads and stuff, sometimes he'll do this thing where he jumps over and over again. And he's still a baby right now, but when he gets to be Ed and Abu's size, he's not gonna, if he does that, he's gonna end up hurting somebody.
Yeah.
And so there's been talk about possibly sending him to a trainer that works with camels every day.
Yeah.
And so that he can, you know, because you really, to train an animal, you have to understand their minds and how their brain is working.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with dogs too.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the same way with the sloths. When we were conditioning Dash and Zoe when they were babies, and they came from that facility with that breeder that's been doing it for over 30 years, he really understands the way that their brains work and everything, because if they start to show certain signs of stress, he has to end that and give that baby right back, because if he continues, it's going to just stress the baby out, and they're going to just associate people with stress or things to be scared of. She's still working on it.
Maybe, maybe not.
Sometimes it's hit and miss with Flash. If he's not really hungry in the morning, sometimes it'll be just a little bit slower that it takes to come down. Most of the time, most of the time, if John comes in and starts talking to him, he'll come down, because John was the person that
As a
wanted
rule.
him the most when we first got him.
Come on, Geek.
You know, we've had Flash for over 3 years now, and for the first 2 years that we had him, John was the number 1 person that was in there all the time. So he really understands.
Come on, Geek.
Hears his voice and knows that the best.
Yeah, they all seem so friendly. Even
Mm-hmm.
the alpacas,
Yeah.
they're like, when they're coming, they're like following along the fence.
Mhm. Yeah. We don't want to have any animals here that aren't 100% comfortable with being around people and enjoy that interaction.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't either. We would
Yeah.
definitely know it, and they would be just trying to get away,
Yeah.
not being comfortable. And we always tell people that obviously human safety is our number 1 concern, but animal comfort is our number 2. And so if somebody's not, you know, following the rules that we've set in place for the interaction with the animal, or the animal's just looking uncomfortable, or whatever, what have you, we always advertise it as it's the animal's encounters.
Yes.
It's not, you know, they're the ones leading the encounters, and if they're uncomfortable with something,
Yeah, you
or
don't have
something needs to be,
uncomfortable.
something needs to be adjusted, then we have to do that. because they can't speak, they can't,
Yeah.
communicate with us like we do with one another.
Yeah.
And, with your dog or your cat, you may understand certain body
Yeah.
languages that
Yeah.
they're displaying, if they're uncomfortable, if they're really liking a spot that
Yeah.
you're rubbing and things like that. But nobody's been around these sloths, and I'm the one that works with them every day, and so it's our responsibility to make
Mhm.
sure that we understand their body language and make sure that we can interpret what they're meaning by
Yeah.
those certain things that they are doing.
That's what I tell people when they come to my house. I have dogs. If you're not comfortable, then
Mhm.
don't come.
Yeah. Dogs were here first.
They were.
You're not doing very much to hold on here, girl. She's like, I have complete trust.
Yeah, she just enjoying
Yeah.
that.
Oh, now I really see your teeth.
And when he yawns, it's like the cutest thing ever and the most scary thing at the
Yeah.
same time, because it's like this full set of teeth that you're not expecting to see.
Yeah.
They don't have a very strong bite force, but those teeth are
They're
razor
strong,
sharp.
yeah. Yes.
So they can definitely puncture
Good,
through
yeah.
something if they wanted to.
So kind of like puppy teeth
Mhm.
when they're like sharp
Yeah.
and they bite you.
Mhm. But unlike puppies, sloths are born with a full set of teeth,
Oh,
ears
really?
open, eyes open, and
Oh,
ready to go.
wow.
They're still pretty small, and so they rely on mom to
They're-
protect them and
Yes.
everything. But they only nurse from their mothers from 2 to 5 weeks. Research shows different reasons for why.
Mhm.
Some nurse longer and some nurse shorter. I think the San Diego Zoo are doing some research that showed that the gender of the baby had something to do with it.
Yeah.
I think the males don't nurse for quite as long as some of the females do.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's a very short time
Yeah.
that they nurse. And then they stay with the mothers, the two-toed sloths, for at least 5 months. And then around 5 months is when they're weaned. The three-toed sloths tend to stay with theirs for about a year. So it just kind of depends, but. Yeah.
He's super friendly.
No.
Do you do like anything with the zebras or?
Not
They're-
too much with the zebras,
they're
no.
kind of
And the female that we have out there is pregnant. And so she's
Aw.
the biggest reason for why we have the zebras, because you can bottle raise the baby zebra and have it be a lot more friendly. But both of those zebras are more skittish, and we want to keep them that way.
Yeah.
Because zebras their bite force of a zebra is way stronger than any other type of horse or donkey or mule.
Yeah.
And so if they really wanted to grab on to somebody and inflict harm, they definitely
Yeah.
could. And so that's why we try to keep them, away and as skittish as possible when we're out there working with the other animals. They're really just more so looking animals than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, they look good.
Yeah. Yeah. Although Marty, the male that we have, has become a lot more friendly
Yeah, I've seen
recently.
I've seen two of them out there before.
Yeah, and that he'll come up when we're doing kangaroo encounters and things,
Yeah.
and try to be looking to see if somebody has food, because they're very food motivated. But
Yeah.
it's like at the same time, we don't want you to be that friendly, because
Yes.
Yeah.
if anybody were to move wrong or startle them or anything,
You don't know.
yeah. I don't think the zebras are something that we're gonna keep long term.
No.
Yeah.
The alpacas, they seem like they're the friendliest.
Mhm.
Kind of just.
Yep, the alpacas and the goats and the sheep are probably the most friendly
Yeah.
animals on the whole farm. Because a lot of them were ball raised, and so
Yeah.
they just associate people as, their source of food.
Normal, yeah.
Now, when you bottle raise a llama, especially male llamas, you have to be careful about the way that you do it. Because if you bottle raise them where you're facing the nipple away from you and they're looking at you while they're nursing, they either associate themselves as people or they associate people as llamas. And they grow up, and the males can develop what's called berserk llama syndrome,
Yeah.
where they try to, basically fight any of the males,
Mhm.
adults, like men that go
Yeah.
into their enclosures. And if it's the right time of the month and a female goes in there, they'll try to mount her. And that
Yeah.
can be really dangerous in
Yeah.
and of itself as well. And so it's something that you really have to be cautious of.
Aware.
And all the workers and everything, we've got to make sure that the younger ones, the high school age and stuff, they're aware
Yeah.
when they're bottle feeding the baby llamas out there that to do it the right way.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a sad thing, because they're really sweet when they're babies, and then once they get older and their hormones start to kick in and everything, it just completely, a flip just switches.
Yeah. You're not eating yet?
We'll be 8 Sundays.
Huh?
38 now.
Yeah. Roll it up. Don't wanna scare you. Switch your hands here, buddy. Sorry. My left arm fell asleep.
You wouldn't think that a little 5.5 pound sloth would do that, but after a while, it starts to,
Yeah.
yeah, it starts to get heavier.
You're not hungry this morning either?
I know it's a Wednesday, middle of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You guys busy on the weekends?
Yeah, for sure. Saturdays, yeah.
Yeah.
Fridays and Saturdays are our busiest.
Is she gonna come down or you don't know yet?
He was on his way out the branch, but he's made it about a foot further.
Yeah, so hopefully.
Go ahead and open this up. Do you want me to open this up? Oh, she's ready.
There he is. Takes patience.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of it when you're working with sloths.
I have such good patience with animals when it comes to people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with like an animal, if they've got the chompies, they're chomping on something, chewing,
Yeah.
smacking their lips. It's like the cutest thing ever. But then if, you know, a
Human
person
does
does
it,
it,
yeah.
you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, close your mouth.
I tell everybody I meet I'm an animal person. Don't
Mhm.
take it personal.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm a people person. Finally wake up.
Uh-oh. That looks bad.
There you go.
Bye.
Mm-hmm. Was he interested in the banana? We don't have any fresh bananas, and so it's like the sorriest looking
Yeah.
banana I think we have. Do you want to offer him an actual bowl? Give him a taste.
He has to taste it. Cause that kind of moving.
It's like I'm moving.
Oh no.
Bye.
His teeth are kind of, it sounds like it hurt, like it's just crazy sounding.
Huh.
His teeth
Yeah.
sound like they're,
That's weird. I think Hayden's coming today.
thank you, buddy.
Maybe.
Says I'm thinking.
Licking lips. Yeah, no Tootsie. You're not hungry today? You're not interested in our food today?
Well, you at least get a glimpse of His Majesty.
Yeah.
I would open up his outdoor enclosure for him if it was warm enough, but.
Look how big.
And he's about the same size as Zoe, they're just shaped very differently.
Different.
Oh,
Flash is a lot more cylinder
yeah.
and slender shaped, and then Zoe here, she's got kind of a little Buddha belly on her.
Yeah.
She's kind of more shaped like a pear. But they had very different nutritional backgrounds. When we got Flash, he was already 3, and so we don't know exactly what he was raised on. But we know exactly what Zoe's had since she was born, because we have a good relationship with her breeder.
Did you wash your head last night?
Never seen all 3 sloths at the same time.
A little bit of a treat this morning.
You have to come this way.
It's like, why must you make this so difficult? Just put it in my mouth, and then we could be friends.
I think he wants it, he just,
He just wants it his way.
yeah.
They can be very stubborn when they get something in their head, that that's what they want to do.
I know a lot of people like that.
Very much longer for this encounter, so I just put Zoe back up and we'll use Dash. Let me switch over.
It's Wednesday.
Just one of those days.
That's what I said. It's Wednesday.
We're halfway through. Oh, wow, I'm tired.
It's a Wednesday. It's a hit and miss today. Yeah, what do you hear, huh?
This rice is sticky.
It's because it has so much dog food in it. I asked Dawn about it, and I was like, how much dog food are we supposed to put in that mixture? He was like, half a cup, but I was just
He
in a
told me a
rush.
cup,
And I know.
but whatever he had,
Yeah,
like
it
he
was
just
way,
poured.
yeah, he
it.
said I was just in a rush and I just poured it in, I didn't measure it. I was like,
Oh, buddy.
You don't want to come out today, buddy. Why, huh?
It's Wednesday.
I'm tired, sweet boys. You sly boy.
Okay, you go again.
he says, I see movement.
You're completely out of routine, buddy. You weren't even sleeping in the same spot.
I think it was yesterday, he didn't want to come down either, and so he's probably just thrown off of his schedule.
Yeah.
And that has, I've been here for 3.5 months, and that's probably only happened 7 or 8 times the
Yeah.
whole time. So it's
Yes.
very routine for him
Yeah.
every morning to
Yeah.
come down, but out of that whole time that
Yeah, sometimes.
Do you hear that? I mean,
I've been noticing it recently.
it's like a click.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the teeth don't together, but
Yeah.
that just sounds weird. But I can't even open his mouth so I can see, to see if anything's going on with his teeth.
When we did his blood work and everything, we should have probably smelled it, but I was like, too. No, we didn't think of it. Oh. need me to take any pictures of both of you guys there for you?
Yeah.
Yay, you took a picture with me. Oh, let's see. I'll have the timer on. See, I need a timer because I can't.
Oh.
How do I shut it off? I don't know how. Oh boy. Just do it this way. Did it work? Oh,
I never
Here, I'll
said.
take your food from you.
I never said.
I'm not that phone savvy. And on a text call, look stuff up in pictures.
Hey, big boy. Hi.
Did it work?
Yeah, I think I got it.
Oh.
Maybe.
If you see numbers in the corner, the timer's on.
There we
See
go.
about we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know our time goes by so quickly, but it is up. So I'll go ahead and get
Alright.
it from you.
Go ahead.
He's just gonna climb
Just
up
sit
my
like
arm.
this?
Yep,
Okay.
he's just gonna climb up my arm. There we go.
There we go.
Alright. Sorry if you got Rouse on you, sometimes he's a little bit
Oh,
of a
it's-
messy eater.
I got 5 animals.
That's not bad.
Nothing bothers me.
Well, they just trying to make it all the way back up.
Yeah. He might make his rounds and come all the way back down while we see. He moves around a lot sometimes.
Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm sorry that didn't work
Oh,
out.
no, you're
this
fine.
morning, but
It's alright.
You got to hold for a little bit longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
A few months up by us,
Sorry.
we get snow, so.
Oh, yeah?
Usually, sometime in November, we get like the
Yeah.
first snow.
Yeah.
We hope we won't get that, but you never
There
know.
we go.
But if you guys don't care to just sanitize for me one more time.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course.
So, by the time I get to town, wash your hands. No.
He came down to the very